G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We are returning with another draft regrading video. This time we're going over the 2020 AFL draft. If you're new to this, the past 2 years we have regraded some drafts 5 years onwards. So in 2023 we did 2018, last year we did 2019, and we're doing 2020 for this year's edition. When we look back, of course, 2020 had its COVID issues, and a lot of good quality plays did slip late, and in general it was a draft with not the greatest depth in comparison to some super drafts like the year before of 2019. So it's a pretty low bar when regrading these teams' draft hauls come 2025. But no matter what year, still fun to go back and have a look on how teams did go. Make sure to check out the past editions we've done on the channel with the 2018 and 2019 draft if you wish. But we'll get on to the 2020 draft in this video today. Make sure you like and subscribe if you do going to enjoy. Now let's kick it off. Okay, so let's start off with the Adelaide Crows. Their very first pick of the draft was pick number 2, and they took 𝐼𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼, electing to go for the local talent rather than a Logan McDonald type. And what a season he had in 2025. He's turned himself into the complete elite key forward of the competition. He can do it all, first time All-Australian, and potentially more on the horizon. And later in the draft, picking up some handy role players that are still in the team to this day. Luke Pedler, Braden Cook, they've been in and out of the side, but have been able to show some sort of impact at AFL level. Sam Berry had a breakout year in 2022. I think he was a top 5 tackler in the competition. Questions on him though, can he reach the elite level exposed a bit come finals time? James Rowe, the son of course of Rowie from 5AA, he can carry on like a bit of enough on the radio, but he played a couple of games and got delisted. James Borlase and Nick Murray in the rookie drafts as well. 2 handy key position players. Murray has turned into one of their main key defenders, and Borlase more of the depth option. They got an A grade back in 2020 via the Fox Footy website, I did see, and it's still got to be an A grade 5 years onwards. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 has turned himself into a star, and even with their later picks, these are players that are still on the list. Next team up, the Brisbane Lions. Now, their first pick, they matched a bid for Blake Coleman, the Brisbane Academy player. Ended up playing no games, though. Of course, the younger brother of 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 Coleman, who I am pretty sure was taken the year before. Harry Sharp was known for his aerobic ability. He was up there for the 2K time trial this draft class, but didn't eventuate as a Brisbane Lion, traded to Melbourne at the end of last year. Henry Smith, the only player that still stays on the list. He's only played 6 games. I'm pretty sure it's because he's mostly had a few injuries here and there. Burst onto the scene, to be fair. I think it was that game. Was it that game against Collingwood where he kicked like 3 or 4 goals and a half? 𝐼𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼 was retired. Maybe does he get a spot in the future? But you'd think probably has to play some sort of game time next year, now entering into his mid-20s, or he could be gone. 𝐼𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼, he was I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. He was an Irishman they picked up, didn't play a game. And Jack Saunders, also one that just played the singular game. They got a B grade back in 2020. It's not looking like the greatest draft for Brisbane in the end, so it's got to be a D grade. Next up, we've got the Carlton Blues. This was the trade period, or the year I should say, sorry, where they did trade for Adam Saad, so hence why their first pick was at 37, and they took the South Australian small forward of Corey Durden and ended up playing 64 games and just recently traded back home to Port Adelaide. Jack Currell delisted at the end of last season. The Western Australian midfielder couldn't really get on. A few games as a sub here and there. Of course, now a St Kilda Saint. Luke Parks, key defender, only 8 games. And Oscar McDonald, delisted at Melbourne, picked up by the Blues, only played the 5 games, of course, now at Fremantle as we do speak. It was an A- back in 2020, and it's got to be in the D grade here for the Blues. I won't give him a minus, to be fair, even though all these players aren't on their list anymore. A pick 37 turning out to play 64 games isn't too bad of Corey Durden, so I won't give him a D-. I'll just give him a D grade here. Next team up is the Collingwood Magpies. They cashed in on a few first-round picks here. Adam Treloar departed the club, I'm pretty sure, in 2020 to the Bulldogs, so they got some currency there. And they were able to get 2 first-round picks in before the bid came for 𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼 McInnes, so they took Ollie Henry, of course, now at the Cats. And Finlay McRae just recently delisted, so he obviously didn't belong at the level, struggled to, really show himself after being a fairly highly rated player, from what a lot of Collingwood fans were saying. 𝐼𝐼𝐼 McInnes, a long-term injury, unfortunately had this year, but the potential's there. He's a big body player, drafted as a midfielder, now looking like he could be a key defender. Caleb Poulter, think he was delisted, and just recently delisted the Bulldogs too. Liam McMahon, of course, now at the Bombers. A fresh new chapter for him. Kicked a few goals in his first couple of games, and they struck gold here late in the draft. The Pies, Beau McCreary, Jack Ginnivan, two players that became key figures in their flag push in 2023. McCreary can run through the midfield, also a beast with his strength in that forward 50. And Ginnivan, yeah, he's at the Hawks now, but he stamped his mark definitely on this Collingwood side, especially in 2023. Because of those two, I'll give them a B grade here. Picking up two premiership players late in the draft is fantastic. They were graded an A+ back in 2020, but I'll give them a B grade given what they got with McCreary and Jack Ginnivan. Next up we've got is Essendon. They had a huge draft haul in 2020, and looking at it from a reflection point of view, probably not the greatest draft to have all these first round of picks. They took Nick Cox at pick 8, pick 9 Archie Perkins, and pick 10 Zach Reid. Nick Cox unfortunately having some concussion problems, and I don't think he played a game in 2025. Can he get back up there? His first season was a promising one. There's quite a few questions on Archie Perkins. Can he get to that elite level given he's a pick 9? But credit to him, he's played 100 games, so that's a good output. And Zach Reid, we all know he's had some injury woes throughout his time at the Bombers. Finally got a crack at it, and to be fair, he was one of their shining lights this season, really turning himself into a good-looking key defender. Then went down, unfortunately, again with another, I think, hamstring problem. But the potential's there for Zach Reid. Definitely belongs at the level if he can keep himself fit. Josh Eyre and Cody Brown, I'm pretty sure these were some academy selections. I might be wrong with that, but they ended up playing no games. Kane Baldwin played a few games, also in defence. He got canned, and Alec Waterman didn't play a game for the Eagles, picked up as a listed free agent, played a couple of games as a small forward, but then canned a few seasons ago. I'll give the Bombers here a C grade. They were graded an A back in 2020. Nick Cox has question marks in him, and look, Archie Perkins can definitely play 150, 200 plus games for them, but can he reach that elite level? There are still a few questions on him. And Zach Reid, if he can keep himself fit, there has been some evident display this season. He definitely looks like he can belong at the level, so can he keep himself fit? I'll give the Bombers a C grade for now. Now across to the Fremantle Dockers, a pretty tidy draft when looking at it 5 years onwards. Pick 14, Heath Chapman, played 65 games now, and it still feels like he is a bit of a liability here and there. He can have some really solid performances, but he can have some horrid moments at times. Nathan O'Driscoll, 27, a nice find as well. Similar to Heath Chapman, he has had some injury woes, but his start of 2025 was a really good one across the wing. Brandon Walker as well for pick 50, another player who has been killed with injury. Geez, Freo have picked up some nifty players here, but they've all had some injury concerns, unfortunately. But he's played 66 games at pick 50. Joel Weston didn't eventuate, just 2 games, and they struck gold here in the rookie draft from the, I think it was Bendigo. Josh Tracy, the big kahuna, back-to-back seasons of 40-plus goals. Can he make an All-Australian 2026? He is a beast key forward, as we all know. A really good find there from the Dockers. A B-plus in 2020, and I feel a B-plus is a fair one for the Dockers, grading them now in 2025. Some nice pickups here, still staying on the list, and they went bang with Josh Tracy in the rookie draft and could go to the next level next season. Next team up, we do have the Cats. Just 4 players they took in 2020, and when we look back at the 2020 draft, it's hard to go past Geelong's haul with Max Holmes and Shannon Neal. Pick 20 going for Max Holmes. I'm pretty sure his draft year didn't play much football, so he was more of that athlete, not necessarily footballer type, and how about that? 5 years onwards, he's been able to display his athletic feats so well, his dash, his high endurance, and turning himself into one of the more star outside players in the competition. And Shannon Neal, pick 33, breakout season from this year. I'm pretty sure he pushed 50 goals, 45 games for him as a key forward, and some later picks of Stevens and 𝐓𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐼. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. He was from a basketball background, pretty sure, that ruckman, but didn't play any games. It's got to be an A grade here for the Cats. Picking up Max Holmes at pick 20, failing the bid on Goulden, but then still taking Shannon Neal, a really good return to young stars for the Cats 5 years onwards. Next team up, we do have the Gold Coast Suns. Their 2019 draft, of course, a big one, landing Rowell and Anderson, but still had picked 7 in 2020, and they took Elijah Hollands at the time. He was a slider, I am fairly sure, and graded an A+ in 2020, but unfortunately he didn't cut it out as a Gold Coast Sun, and looking like he might not play as a Blue anymore. He's had some off-the-field issues. I'm hearing some alcohol problems and even some drug problems, but when he has played, especially for the Blues, he looks like he belongs at the level, so can he get himself back in order? But as as a son, no good. 𝐼𝐴𝐥𝐼𝐿𝐴, how about him, eh? He burst onto the scene his first couple of games at Papua New Guinea small forwards. Treats won't forget his impact early on, but unfortunately it's not on the list to this day. Jacob Townsend, the former, I'm pretty sure he played a season for the Bombers and then got delisted, then picked up again, and of course the Premiership Tiger. Aiden Fife and Reece Nichols, some academy selections that didn't play a game, and they struck late here in the rookie draft. These were some category B rookies at the time. Pretty sure these were academy players of Alex Davies and Joel Jeffrey. Davies played a few games in the tail end of 2025, and Joel Jeffrey's been a really underrated player in Damien Hardwick's side, now a mainstay in their back six. Really good off the intercept and a neat kick. Looks like he can push 100 games in a few years' time, so it was looking like a D- for the Suns, but I'll give him a D+ here with some nice finds late in the rookie draft with Alex Davies and Joel Jeffrey. Next team up, the GWS Giants. This was the draft where they did get rid of Jeremy Cameron and they got 3 first-round picks in return. And then who did they end up taking? Tanner Bruhn, Connor Stone, Ryan Angwin. Yikes, it's not really great. Bruhn, of course, moved to the Cats. Connor Stone recently delisted after playing a bulk of games in 2025. And to be fair, Angwin has retained himself on the list. He is known for his aerobic ability, and he played a chunk of games the back half of this season, including the Elam final, so he's still on the list. Does he belong on a wing as a mainstay player in 2026 and onwards? Cameron Fleet, the key defender, only played 2 games. Jacob Ware, not a bad find late in the draft. Now traded to Port Adelaide, and Will Shaw, I'm pretty sure that was an academy player, delisted as well. Got to be a D grade here for the Giants. It was pretty poor how they weren't able to draft well enough with the picks they got in return for Jeremy Cameron, but hey, Angwin still stays on the list, but it's got to be a D grade here for the Giants. Next team up, we do have Hawthorn. They had the early pick, of course, in this draft, and they ended up taking Denver Granger Barras, Kane Corns' favourite player, and didn't eventuate as a AFL quality footballer. Had a few goes forward of the ball, and of course his mainstay position of defence, but it didn't work out. 28 games, and he was 𝐼𝐴𝐥𝐼𝐿𝐴 delisted, I think at the end of last year or the year before. And then, Seamus Mitchell had a few decent games. He was actually a bit of a fantasy cash cow, I do remember, but delisted. Was it the end of this season? I'm pretty sure it was. Connor Downey didn't play many games. Tyler Brockman traded to the West Coast Eagles a few seasons ago. Jack Saunders, a South Australian, only played the 1 game. And Lachie Bramble, to rub salt in the wounds, they took this guy in the rookie draft, delisted, and for the first 2 seasons picked up at the Bulldogs. He's played, I'm pretty sure, almost every single game, so he's turned out to be a nice find as a delisted player for the Dogs. It's got to be a D- here for the Hawks. A highly rated player they took of Denver Granger Barras, but turned out to be, unfortunately, a busted AFL level. So, hard to go past a D- here for the Hawks. Next side, we do have the Melbourne Demons, and right away, pick 21, they took Jake Bowie. Bang, there you go. Premiership player, playing a grand final, game number 7, I'm fairly sure, and he's turned out to be a nifty player for this Demons side, and it's exciting to see what Stephen King can do with this guy, because he's a lovely kick of the football, pretty nice player. 84 games on the road to 100. Bailey Laurie, an interesting one, the pick after at pick 22. He's, I swear, half of those games, in fact, maybe all of those 12 games has been as the sub, so if he's going to play with this sub rule gone, he's not going to be playing as a sub onwards. So he still stays on the list, interestingly, after 4 or 5 seasons as 12 games. So does he belong at the level? Let's see. Fraser Rossman didn't play a game. Marjack Daw, the former North Melbourne player, he didn't play a game for the Demons in 2021 and 22, then delisted. And Deegan Smith didn't play a game either. It's got to be a solid B grade here for the Demons. Hey, it's quite simple. They ended up taking and picking a premiership player of Jake Bowie and has turned himself into a nice footballer. So B grade here for the Ds. North Melbourne now we look at, and this is a bit of a look away one, I guess you can say, if you're a North Melbourne supporter. Pick 3, Will Phillips. They were touted to go for Logan McDonald. They go the midfielder instead, and recently delisted, so that one is a bit of a stinger for those North Melbourne supporters. Tom Powell, not bad at pick 13. He's on the way to 100 games. He has some very good moments and some good games, but he'll have a week or 3-4 game period where he completely goes. So he's a bit of that Holden Cotton Cold player, Tom Powell, but his good games are very, very impactful. He can burst his way out of congestion very nicely. Charlie Lazaro, a couple of games, but delisted at the end of last year. Phoenix Spicer, the same as well. Eddie Ford, not too bad last season. I don't think he played a game this year and eventually delisted. Patrick Walker and Connor Menadue, the former Tiger, taken in, I think it was the rookie draft or the SSP. Played a few games in 21, but then delisted. It's got to be a D grade here for North Melbourne. I'll give him a plus, though, because 13, Tom Powell, on the way to 100 games. Not too bad, and that's a decent return. But yeah, D plus here, it's got to be for the Kangas. Will Phillips is just showing that it didn't end out for him. Next up, we do have Port Adelaide here, pick 16. I'm pretty sure this was where they matched the bid for Lachie Jones, the NGA talent, and he's turned out to be a pretty decent footballer. He'll have some horrid games, but they'll have some very good ones. So again, a bit of that hot and cold type, but his best games, of course, are very good. So 74 games, good return there. And at pick 45, not a bad get here of Ollie Lord. There are questions though to this day, does he belong at AFL level? But he still does stay on the list. Tyson Goldsack, of course, a premiership pie. He was, I'm pretty sure he retired and then he came out of retirement, picked up in the rookie draft, didn't play a game. But this is sort of a long-term picker because I am pretty sure he is an assistant coach for Port Adelaide to this day. And Taj Schofield, the son of, I forgot his first name, but the father, of course, played in the 2004. Jared Schofield, of course, he was the West Coast's interim coach not long ago. He unfortunately didn't play a game, though. So I'll give Port Adelaide a C grade here. They were graded an A back in 2020, but it's turned out to be an okay draft. Jones still plays, and Lord's still on the list to this day. So nothing crazy, but nothing bad. So a solid C, I reckon, here for Port Adelaide. Richmond Tigers now. They took 4 players in this draft, and this was, of course, after winning the flag, so not really much currency to boast here, but this has turned out to be a decent draft. Samson Ryan, wouldn't be surprised if he's out of the league in a few seasons, but he is still on the list, to be fair. And then at pick 51 and the SSP, they take Maurice Rioli and Ryan Mansell, 2 handy role players for Adam 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴's side, especially Mansell. He looks like an impressive young player, and Maurice Rioli, all know about his chase. Again, he has some horrid moments, but he has some real team-lifting moments when he does play. And Mate Kalina came from a basketball background, I think just recently delisted. So a C plus in 2020, and look, I'll give him a C plus here. This was a draft where they didn't have much currency, and they've gotten their bang for buck with Maurice Rioli and Ryan Mansell, players that are still on the list to this day, and as well as the same of Samson Ryan still on the list. So a C plus here for the Tigs. Moving on to the Saints, off the back of a Elam final win in 2020, and they went to the draft and took Matt Allison, the key forward. It didn't work out for him, 0 games and delisted. And Tom Highmore, a player that I knew actually personally, went to my high school. I always thought this guy wasn't bad at AFL level, but only the 16 games, the general defender out of Sandford. And then in the SSP, they took Paul Hunter. I think he was on the Adelaide list for a few seasons, played a few games as a ruck, and no longer on there. And Mason Wood, this what makes the St Kilda's 2020 haul not so bad at all. Delisted from North Melbourne. He's turned out to be a really fine pickup for this Saints side. Versatile, can play on the wing, can play a bit more forward of the ball. Looked like one of the best wingmen in 2023 for the Saints, and has played 91 games for them. So it's definitely looking like a D grade here for the Saints, but because of that Mason Wood pickup, I'll give them a C minus here. Then for the Sydney Swans, one of the winners in the draft back in 2020, and it's safe to say they're probably still one of the winners to this day. Pick 4, Logan McDonald. Unfortunately, had some ankle problems in 2025, but his general progression as a key forward has been good enough. It's nothing crazy, but he is going to be, I think, a handy player for this Sydney side. And his prelim final last year was a beauty as well, up until he got injured. Brandon Campbell on the way to 100 games. There are questions on him. He's one of those players that they probably need more out of, but hey, credit to him. He's kept himself mostly durable, and he shows some really good flashes on the way to 100 games. And Errol Goulden, pick 32. Geelong did bid on them, of course, and he's turned out to be one of the best players in this draft class, 5 years onwards. The star outsider player, Errol Goulden, 103 games, looking like he could be maybe their next captain. Mark Sheether, the local boy, academy pickup. This was a Category B. And Crothers was also taken in the rookie draft, the general defender, and I'm pretty sure he only lasted a season, but they struck well with McDonald, Campbell, and Goulden. It still has to be an A grade, 5 years onwards, so a solid A for the Swans here. Second last team, the West Coast Eagles. They were graded a C in 2020. Not really much capital here. And yeah, this is not looking like a great draft 5 years onwards. Luke Edwards played a chunk of games as South Australian midfielder, but got delisted pretty sure the end of last year. Isaiah Winder, a few games on the wing and forward of the ball for this Eagles side, delisted. And Zane True, whenever I think about this name, it was his performance, was it against the Dogs late in 2023 where they got that upset win? Yeah, he had a pretty decent game, but delisted, I'm pretty sure, at the end of last year. But yeah, it's a poor draft here for West Coast. Not really much capital, only 3 players and players that aren't on the list to this day. So a D minus here for the Eagles. Hard to go against that. And the final team, we do have the Western Bulldogs. This, of course, tailed with the #1 pick of 𝐼𝐻𝐿 𝐼𝐻𝐿. It's a strange one to look at 5 years onwards because he definitely belongs at the level. Massive season he had in 2024, pushing 50 goals. Looked like he could have gone to the next level, but was not in the right headspace. Some off-the-field issues, and traded away to the Suns for a pick in the 70s. That does suck, of course, for those Dog supporters. Hopefully he can get himself back on track, though, from his point of view. And Dominic Bedendo played a few games, but then delisted, I think it was the end of last year. And not bad pickups here in the SSP. Anthony Scott played a chunk of games as a mid-forward, delisted at the end of this season, now nearing 30. And McNeil, not a bad pick at all, played 75 games to this day, and arguably had a career best year playing the majority of games in 2025. Yeah, it does suck with 𝐎𝐻𝐿 going and getting the absolute minimal return for him with his off-the-field issues. He definitely does belong at the level. He's honestly been a star when he's been out there. So I'll give them a C grade here. Definitely bumped down with 𝐎𝐻𝐿 departing, but some not bad pickups of Scott and McNeil late. So I think a C grade here is fair enough. So everyone, there is me regrading every team's 2020 draft haul. It's interesting looking at it 5 years onwards. Overall, though, you have to set a pretty low bar because it was a draft class, of course, hit with a plethora of issues, mainly COVID, and a lot of the state leagues were cancelled for that year. But nevertheless, still a fun video to go over and look at 5 years onwards. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go and to enjoy today's video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.